Good evening from BBC London News. I'm Catherine Carpenter. Be vigilant but not afraid. That was the message to Londoners from the head of the Metropolitan Police this evening following the attacks in Paris. Mayor Boris Johnson described the French capital as our sister city and said London stood ready to do whatever it takes to help France. Security here in the capital has been reviewed, but the Lord Mayor's show went ahead as planned, as Alpa Patel reports.
It wasn't meant to start this way, but for 2 minutes, the Lord Mayor's show stood silent for the victims of last night's attacks. Indiscriminate violence on the streets of Paris that have some questioning their safety here in London.
I think it's really, really worrying. But as I say, if you gave it, you thought you wouldn't do anything, would you?
Does it affect the way you feel after seeing scenes like that in Paris?
It does. I guess you're quite sensible to noises, especially when something loud happens.
It's at the back of your mind. Could be a bomb anywhere. The trouble is, it could be a bomb there, it could be a bomb here. You don't know where it's going to be anyway.
But the man in charge of the city says we mustn't allow fear to divide us.
It's very important now that we stand shoulder to shoulder with Paris in the fight against this ideology, and of course that we do not allow it to become the cause for any kind of wholesale suspicion or distrust of the great Muslim community, which after all overwhelmingly rejects the twisted ideology of the Islamists.
Hannah Corbett from Harpenden was at the Bataclan concert hall when the attackers entered.
So many people around us, lying on top of each other, trying to protect everyone. And it just seemed like a nightmare. People started moving and then just crawling over each other. Really lucky. You could see blood on the floor when you were just trying to get out.
The tragedy that unfolded in Paris has led to a review of policing here, says the country's most senior counter-terrorism officer.
We've got a heightened state of readiness, we've got more officers on patrol. Overnight, of course, we've looked at that afresh, and whenever there's something like this, we review our stance, and people will probably see in the next few days more police officers at public events. They will see strengthened policing at ports.
But with the country's terror threat level at severe, last night's attack has left some here nervous, but determined to carry on. Alpa Patel, BBC London News.
Well, earlier, the French ambassador here in London said she was grateful and moved by the solidarity the capital has shown with those across the Channel. Sarah Harris reports now on how London's French community has been responding to events.
At a small boutique in the heart of what's known as London's French Quarter in South Kensington, Anne de la Ville-Bouche wants to show the light has not gone out after so much carnage in her home city.
We don't know what to do, really, especially from London. You know a lot of people. I've been living in Paris for 20 years, and I don't even recognize my city anymore.
The flag is flying at half-mast at the Institut Français just around the corner. Many French Londoners have been accounting for their loved ones long into last night and have now made their way here to be with others who truly understand their pain.
It's quite difficult to tell the feelings, really. It's just horrible. There's no explanation for this. Just very worried for my family and concerned for them and hoping this won't get worse.
A sea of flowers at the French embassy where hundreds have been to pay their respects. This bouquet left on behalf of the Indian community in London.
We need to stand shoulder to shoulder at such a desperately bad time. I don't think nationality or colour comes into terrorism because the terrorists themselves did not distinguish.
She laughs at the boys and she laughs at the wars.
With poetry and speeches, French people are coming together to try to make sense of what's happened.
In many respects, London has carried on as usual today, but the mood is sombre, and many Londoners told me that they came here to Trafalgar Square to show the people of Paris that they care.
Londoner Stuart Duncan has no links with France and has never left flowers before, but after 2 attacks in Paris in a year, he felt compelled to do something this time.
What happened was an attack on humanity, politics aside, and it was just a natural instinct really to come here and express some solidarity with the act of having some sympathy. I think there's going to be a lot of anger, a lot of potential for aggression, and I think and I felt that myself, but I think it's just a better feeling to come and show respect for loss.
It's been a time for people of all ages and backgrounds to come together to show solidarity with London's sister capital and to ask how something so unthinkably brutal could ever have happened again. Sarah Harris, BBC London News.
In other news, a man from France has been arrested in connection with a security alert at Gatwick Airport. The North Terminal was evacuated and a firearm has been recovered. Well, our reporter Peter Whittlesey is at Gatwick now. And Peter, can you just describe to us what's been happening there today?
Well, today the North Terminal, was closed for around 6 hours. Outside there was just a small security cordon, but pictures emerged on social media of the situation inside, where hundreds of people were taken to safety as bomb disposal teams moved in. It caused a lot of disruption, people missing their flights, people not able to enter the terminal, and talking about confusion as they tried to phone their airlines and they didn't know what to do. Tonight, a 41-year-old man from Vendôme in France remains in police custody, being questioned on suspicion of firearms offences. Sussex police said they're interviewing him to try and determine exactly what happened here at the North Terminal this afternoon. They say that it's too early to know what his intentions were. Gatwick Airport is saying there's still a lot of people who are facing disruption to their travel. Therefore, they're working with airlines to try and help them. They put on extra staff. They've got extra bus services here. And they're also looking at hotels to see if there's extra capacity to put those people who've failed to take their flights.
Peter, thanks very much. Peter Whittlesey there from Gatwick. The North London actor Warren Mitchell has died. Famous for playing Alf Garnett in the TV series Till Death Us Do Part, he was born in Stoke Newington in 1926 and was a lifelong supporter of West Ham. On stage, Arthur Miller praised his portrayal of Willy Loman in The Death of a Salesman, and his King Lear and Shylock won him critical acclaim. And this year's Children in Need appeal in London raised over £5.3 million. Thousands of people in the capital came together to help raise money for children across the city. This year's London total passed last year's by over £1 million. To the weather now, and it'll be cloudy and windy tomorrow, although still mild, staying mainly dry across London, with just a few showers and a top temperature of 16 degrees. And that's all from BBC London this evening. We'll leave you with some images of the capital this evening.